Hello, it's Ren Presents time. I'm your host Ren, and today we continue with the Temple of the Exploding Head Omnibus, Part 2, Chapter 5, Lost in the Fog. So last week, Kay is noticing Sam is doing all kinds of weird hootenanny, and it's starting to disturb him. And then he has a freaking creepy visit, either a dream or something, from some sort of creature. He thought at first it was Sam. Looked like it was a woman, but it horribly hunched over, wearing a golden mask. Got into bed with him, had sex with him, bit off a piece of just a tiny bit of skin from his neck, and then departed. And when he's like, did I just dream that shit? What happened? He goes to the bathroom, turns on the lights, and then he sees, just for a moment, himself covered in blood. My God, who wrote this stuff? I don't know. But it disappeared. It left him with a parched, disquiet feeling. And then, the next day, his sister Kai, who's got her ear pressed to various social circles of the League, tells him that Sam was caught red-handed having lunch, of all things, and lunch with a guy who is not him, and it's like a big scandal. And Kay's like, well, it's just lunch. He's like, yeah, but she's lunching with a guy who's not you. And then she tells him who the culprit was, who it was she was having this illicit lunch with, and it's Lord Milos of Probert, one of his best friends. He's like, oh, God, you got me all worked up for nothing, because Milos is my friend, and he's not exactly a lady killer, is he? But then Kai says, well, he doesn't know you're seeing Sam, so all bets are off. He seemed rather smitten with her, and then Kay's all flustered after that. So this week, Kay wants to get to the bottom of this craziness. It's like, why, Sam, why are you disappearing all the time? Sam, why are you acting so freaking weird? Sam, who are these weird creatures who seem to follow your butt around? And he's gonna go to Castle Astralon, of all things, Sam's home. The problem is, Sam's home is in the fog surrounding Lake Monomoy, where most elders don't go, or most elders aren't really welcome necessarily. So this is a bit of a longer chapter, so let's get started right now. Book 1 of the Temple of the Exploding Head Omnibus, Part 2, Chapter 5, Lost in the Fog.
We used to be evil once, and the gods are still punishing us.
The rip car fell through the heights in a mad half-roll. The pilot surely was either dead at the controls or suicidal. As the ground approached, the rip car leveled out, spun once or twice, and set down on the flatlands, gentle as a baby. Lady Hathaline adjusted the controls, and the rip car's motor revved a bit before settling into a more sedate, idle condition. After all that wind and commotion, Half's red hair, a molten river, seemed hardly out of place. Kay's hair, on the other hand, was a mess. He ran a hand through it to salvage a bit of order and popped his hat on. He jumped out. 4 days since Sam had disappeared, and Kay could not handle it anymore. He needed answers. Well, thanks for the ride, sis, he said. I appreciate it. He reached into the back and got his card, which he saddled into place at his hip. Typically a quiet kid, Hath simply smiled back at him. Her blue ripcar coughed a little in the warm air. Her name, Hath, was spelled out in glittery letters across the hood. Kay looked around at the lonely landscape. I shouldn't be too long, but I'm told that it's best to do this alone. The city of Blue Pierce isn't far to the north. Why don't you go get some lunch and then come back for me later? Kay checked his timepiece. It's 10 bells. Can you come back for me at 12 bells? I should be done by then. That okay with you? Hath nodded and held out her hand. Oh, Kay said. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small money bag. Here, use what you need. Hath took the money and pointed at Kay's timepiece. She asked a question. No, thank you. I don't want anything. Go on, have some fun. But don't forget about me, right? 12 bells. She then grabbed the controls and hauled the rumbling ripcar into the sky, tearing off to the north, its shiny blue panels looking like a bluebottle fly as it climbed skyward. Wow, she could pilot a ship. 16 years old, and look what she was doing. Kay was a bit envious. With Hath now miles away, Kay took stock of his situation. He was standing alone on a warm flatland, grassy and somewhat forlorn. Far away to his left was the long green line of the great Armenelos forest, stretching back for thousands of miles. Every so often, a high-flying vessel came down into the forest, no doubt heading for the Xenon city of Armenelos, which was at the tangled heart of the forest. To his right were the rolling, bubbly scallops of Remnath with its gentle hills. Dead ahead was a towering wall of churning fog like a great bag of cotton perpetually draped over the landscape. The fog rose sharply from the ground level up into the heights where it flattened out like an anvil several thousand feet up. Occasionally, flashes of lightning backlit the fog in strokes of cherry red. At the very center of this morass was Lake Monoma, the largest lake on Cana, going southward for 1,000 miles until it ran into the southern Sea of Elder. Somewhere on the shores of this imposing lake was Castle Astralon, Sam's home, a place he had never been to or seen. He was going to plunge into the fog, find the castle, and talk to Sam. He needed answers. He started walking south into the fog. It wasn't like any fog he'd ever seen before. It had a definite boundary between clear, warm air and dank, impossible murk. The billowing clouds within the boundary rotated in a slow, counterclockwise movement. He reached the edge, took a deep breath, and entered. Immediately, day changed to a shapeless darkness. He was instantly lost. What was he thinking? How far was it to the lake shore? He knew Sam's home was foggy, but he hadn't expected this. What had Sam told him once? That bright light hurt her eyes, that she could see much better in muted light. Those black eyes of her were no doubt able to see perfectly in this soup. His lackadaisical attitude towards planning this trip was clear. Sarah would have carefully scouted out such a mission and would have been fully prepared. He turned to go back the way he came. More fog, more murk. After just a few steps, he was hopelessly lost. Kay unsaddled his carg and shined it about. Its silvery light was pinned in by the fog, creating little more than fitful halo around its shaft. He fought the urge to panic, to lose all sense of decorum and dignity, and start screaming for help. He had to relax. This was Sam's home. She was here somewhere, revel in her goodness. Yes, but Sam had told him that outsiders weren't welcome. She had never let him come down to the lake, never even invited him. Though this was Sam's home, it was an utterly hostile place. He paused and knelt to the ground to collect his thoughts. He couldn't be far from the edge. He had to be near. Calm. Be calm. Slowly getting hold of himself, he heard the faint but steady flow of voices moving along the ground. It was Monomas talking to each other in Anui and in other tongues that he didn't know. Just like Sam could speak to him in the chapel, here they used their abilities in place of technology. He listened intently, and a pair of voices became clearer and clearer through the chatter. It was definitely Anui. "I forgot to pack my lunch again, bitch! Call me that again, and I'll slice you in two right here and now. I'm in no mood. Come on, hurry up. I want to be in the Elder City by late day. We've no money to feed our children or ourselves, or have you forgotten? I'm pulling as fast as I can. You need to get these wheels fixed. They stick. We don't have the money to fix the wheels, dumbass. You know, I should have sold you to the arenas on Hoband years ago." Yes, and the first person I would have fought and killed there would have been you slore-mouth. Now, make yourself useful and get out here and help me pull. I don't pull the cart, remember? You pull the cart. That's what you do. You pull the cart. Now put your back into it before I pull my finger and unleash a fart. The voices began laughing. They seemed to be coming from somewhere just ahead. Kay stood and moved in that direction. Something massive appeared in the fog as a great, darker patch, conical and rumbling along the ground. It was a transport of some kind, about 3 stories tall and 60 feet long. Craggy and hissing with steam issued from geared engines strapped to the top. As it approached, lights mounted to its side blinked. Squinting, Kay could make out faded, once gaudy writing on the side of the transport. "The amazing Clera and wife, fortune teller extraordinaire, fates thwarted, mysteries demystified, and pleasures explored." The transport had 8 spindly wheels, each at least 12 feet high in diameter, spinning on delicate axles. Harnessed at the front of the transport by a single heavy chain and dwarfed by its mass was a Monoma woman. She was leaning in the harness, bending over, apparently pulling the massive transport all by herself across the ground. She dug in and set herself with each step. Kay watched the odd procession go by, and then he called, "Hello?" with his hand cupped against his mouth. "What was that? Who's out there?" The woman stopped pulling and stepped out of the chain, where it fell to the ground with a heavy clink. She went to the transport and drew out a massive spiked club from a sheath, wielding it with one hand. She sniffed the air and instantly locked on to Kay. "It's a bloody elder," she said. "What's an elder doing in here? Sniff again. Your nose is as wrong and used up as your twat." She took a deep breath. Smells like an elder to me. Smells like a rich one, too. It's a male. He's recently bathed and he's wearing scented oils of some sort. Oh, huzzah! I smell silver on him." "He's bathed? And he's got silver? He can't be a damn Calvert then. They rarely bathe, and they never have money. Maybe he's from Xenon or Remnath. Maybe we've lucked into our first customer of the day. What in the name of gods are you doing? Get yourself prettied up in case he wants to screw. I'm coming down." The woman sighed. "I'm too tired to screw. I've been pulling this cart for hours." "You pull the cart. You screw the customers while I bring you the customers. Got it?" She put her club back in its place and disappeared around the back of the transport. "I say," Kay called out, "can you help me? Please?" "Are you lost?" Came a sly voice, heavy with an Anui accent from behind. Kay turned. Standing behind him was a Monoma male wearing a black suit and waistcoat with baggy white sleeves. Like Sam, he was skinny, with a bursting head of black hair. However, he was thinner than Sam, much shorter and daintier. His eyes were much smaller than Sam's, and he lacked the long, feathery lashes that he'd come to associate Monomas with. He smiled. "We don't see many elders here in the fog." Kay held his glowing card up. "Oh, well met, sir. Well met. I am Lord Cable of Blanchford, I am on my way to Castle Astralon. The Monomoh man gave a short snicker. That a fact. On foot? I understand it's about 90 miles that way. He pointed with his right hand, his fingernails long and black. Did you hear that, Mitz? He said he's going to Castle Astralon. The woman who had been pulling the transport appeared over Kay's right shoulder. She was now wearing a slinky black dress showing off generous portions of her pale legs and a pair of towering pumps. She smelled of Monomoh perfume, scented hair oils, and sweat. Like the man, she seemed smaller and less full than Sam, a lesser version of her. I wouldn't expect a warm welcome if I were you. They don't like unannounced visitors, she said. No, the man agreed. Astralons don't like anybody. The two Monomohs stood very close to him, invading his personal space. Kay felt ill at ease. Would you care to introduce yourselves, please? Well, certainly. I am the amazing Clera, and this is my assistant, Mitz. Would you care to have your fortune told? As you are lost in the fog 90 miles from your rather prickly destination, you could probably use a fortune-telling. Thank you. No. If I may, what tribe are you from? The man smiled. Cardinal, actually. We like elders in Cardinal. You're lucky. If we'd been Minzers or Zerbs, we probably wouldn't have stopped. Mitz, walking around, began toying with the fabric of his shirt in the region of his belly button. Perhaps you'd be interested in something more exotic, good sir. I can be anything you want me to be. Kay wanted away. He began a waft. Slowly, the twisting column of air began swirling around him. Thank you. No, he said. Clera laughed and put his hand on Kay's shoulder. The waft sputtered and died. Kay knew a Monomoh's touch had the odd effect of disrupting his gifts, just like Snug's disrupted Sam's ability to perform many of her skills. Whenever Sam touched him, his gifts went chaotic and uncontrollable. She thought it was very funny. Apparently, this Clera character knew that too. You wouldn't be trying to disappear on us, would you? Come now, we mean you no harm. We're simply two traveling merchants from Cardinal, trying to get by. And you with all that silver, Mitz said. Certainly there's some service we can offer to earn a few pieces of it. Kay lifted his carg and pushed Clera's hand away. He tried to go on the offensive. Why were you pulling that transport? They both looked back at the hulking shape in the fog. Because Mitz needs the exercise, Clera said. Mitz's feet appeared to be hurting in her high-heeled shoes. She lifted her leg and rotated her foot. Our steam engine broke. It's been like that for a while. Kay had a thought. Well then sure, I'll buy a service or two. Do you take Blanchford haters? Haters? I've never seen a hater before, Clera said. I'm used to seeing Solaris and Rubicons and Sesterces. Can we exchange them for Solaris in the towns? Haters are Vith currency. Vith, Clera said with a bit of shock. My, you are far from home. That quaint, freezing cold place you come from. Yes, and I'll have you know haters enjoy a very favorable rate of exchange. Clera made a few fists and spoke to Mitz in rapid ennui. The gods are smiling, Mitz. I'll speak his fortune, predict his death, and then take his money. We were due a good bit of luck. He switched back to common elder. Then, shall we step inside where we can sit? Kay laughed. I don't plan on dying, sir, and I do not wish a future telling. I simply have a few questions I wish answered that have nothing to do with the future. Clera was astonished. You speak our language? Kay responded in ennui, a bit with a bad accent. I do. He shook his mane of black hair. An elder in the fog who speaks ennui. This is, in fact, a rare event. Who taught you our language, my Saratila? Again, Clera was astonished. Really? Your Saratila taught you? And who, pray, might that be? A princess of Astralon. Mitz approached and gave him a good long whiff. I do smell a Manama woman on him. They've been having a lot of sex. She's even transformed for him. Goodness, this Manama woman must just love you to death, Clera said. I can only imagine what she's changed herself into for you. You're just full of surprises, Lord Cable of Blanchford. Well, so, shall we go inside, where you may ask your questions? They strode through the fog and approached the transport. It was big and heavy-looking. It hissed and sputtered with a regular beat. The fact that Mitz could pull it all by herself said something about Manama's strength. Those are the small secondary motors running for lights and accessories and whatnot. The large drive motor at the top is dead as a knocker, Clera said. A door opened, and Kay stepped inside. The main area of the transport was hollowed out, granting a very open sort of feel. It looked like a little terrace cafe with tables arranged around an open main floor, centered with a babbling fountain. At the far end was a curtained stage. Above was a terrace lined with a number of doors. As they walked in, Mitz removed her shoes. "Put those back on!" Clera scolded her in ennui. "They make your legs look better." "I don't think he wants to screw. Besides, my feet hurt. And remember, he can understand us." Clera gestured. "Seems we're a little low on customers today. Just grab a seat. On good days in a bustling Xenon town, we have this place full. Those can be tough days for Mitz, what with her pulling the cart, serving the drinks, and screwing the customers. She's got much on her plate." "Seems to me she's doing everything. What do you do, sir?" "Well, I get the customers, and I predict the future. That's a hard job. Sometimes we bring some of our children, and they put on little shows, dancing and changing their form. You people just love that." Kay found a table near the fountain and sat. Clera pulled a chair opposite him. "Would you like something to drink? Elder coffee, perhaps?" "Well, that's fine. Thanks," Kay replied. Mitz patted away and disappeared through a beaded archway. Clera rapped his long fingernails on the metal surface of the table. "So, what sort of questions do you have for me?" "It's your silver." Kay cleared his throat. "My Saratila is a very secretive person. There are many things she keeps to herself. She cries in her sleep. She looks over her shoulder and minds what she says. I want to know why." Clera considered his answer. "First, let me ask you something. How did this happen? An elder and a Manama? Arendan? Saratila? How?" "Well, she says she's dreamed of me since she was a little girl. As she's several years older than I am, I assume she was seeing me before I was born." "Possible. All Manamas dream of elders at some point or another." "Did she tell you that?" "We find you very beautiful. Your interesting hair, your jewel-like eyes. It's all very appealing for us. I'm certain your lady is quite fascinated with your belly button, isn't she?" "She is." "Do you find us attractive as well? We don't come in neat colors like you do." "Well, obviously, I think she's very beautiful." "Transformed? Or in her natural state?" "I have never asked her to change her shape, though she herself is rather keen on it. Fancy her as she is." "She's a little different from you and your wife." Clera raised an eyebrow. "Really? How so?" Mitz returned through the beads with a tray containing several brass cups, hammered with distinctive Manama designs, and a pot of steaming coffee. She poured 3 cups and passed them out. She finally seated herself and took her cup. "Bende, Hosfra," Kay said, thanking her and adding a respectful lady's name. "Bende," she replied in response, lifting her cup. As with Sam, speaking ennui seemed to put her at ease a bit. She drank her coffee down. Kay studied her as she drank. "You were saying," Clera said, "that we're different from your Manama woman? In what way?" "Well, she's bigger than both of you are, a lot bigger. Her eyes are very different. They're much larger, longer lashes." Clera and Mitz looked at each other. Does she have little dashes on her lips, sort of like little noshes? Clera asked. She does. Huh. Well, seems your woman is an Anuian, Monima. Very rare these days, rare indeed. Most of us, present company included, are Konaks. We're not as big and strong and fast as the Anuians, but we're still a lot stronger and faster than you are. Clera, Mitz scolded. You needn't be rude. Sir, the Anuians don't exist much anymore. They were killed off, hunted down ages ago, and wiped out, though occasionally Anuians like your Ceratila pop up in Konak's bloodlines. Doesn't happen much, but still. Yes, and your Anuian should be doing her civic duty and mating with Monima men, not elders, creating Monima offspring. Who knows how many more Anuians she could parent, Clera said. Kay ignored Clera. He considered Mitz's words. You said the Anuians were hunted down? Hunted down by whom? Clera took a drink and changed the subject. So yeah, as I was saying, dreaming of elders is not an uncommon thing amongst our people. However, nothing good usually comes of it. It's best to keep it a dream and nothing more. And that's normally what we do. We have a ritual where we try to purge ourselves of elder dreams. I had my Ceratila and I planted my flower and never met her. Is Lady Mitzalaran not your Ceratila? Mitz is my wife, and I love her very much. She is not, however, my Ceratila, and I am not her Arandan. I don't understand. Clera's expression drifted into nostalgia for a moment and then returned. Of course you don't. Let me make it plain. Your lady, by doing what she's done, by not planting her flower and coming out of the fog, is risking not only her life, but yours as well. Well, how so? Those of us who leave the safety of our little place here in the fog tend to become berserkicides. Berserkicides? Ah, Kay thought, now we're getting somewhere. How? Why? Is it a reaction? Is it an infection of some sort that creates a berserkicide? You don't have enough silver for me to answer that. Suffice to say, there are certain truths to the world, and you're better off not knowing what they are. Ignorance is bliss, right? Isn't that what they say? Mitz spoke up. Any one of us, at any time, can become a berserkicide. Your lady, in seeking you out, has almost guaranteed she will become one at some point. You talk too much, Mitz, Clera scolded. So, you're saying, as we sit here, that the two of you could suddenly become berserkicides? Kay asked. What sort of malady is that? It doesn't sound real. Oh, it's real, Clera said, and there are no guarantees. The best way to keep from becoming one is to stick to ourselves and keep our mouths shut. Makes it hard to do business, though. There are some centuries that pass where not a single berserkicide is seen, and there are others, like this one, where they are quite frequent, more and more. You see a red light, you best run, Mitz said, shuddering a little. Shh, Clera scolded. What, a red light? I don't understand. Clera finished his coffee. Like I said, you don't have enough silver. Next question. Kay pressed the topic. This berserkicide business seems very odd to me. It seems to behave with some sort of intelligence behind it. From what I can gather, almost like a punishment of some kind. Next question. We're done talking about berserkicides. Kay wanted to continue, but Clera clearly wasn't going to budge. He would try to reintroduce the topic again later. All right, Olono. What does that word mean? I don't know it, and she won't tell me. It means machine. Machine? What sort of machine? Does it carry any sort of special significance? None that I can think of. It means machine, that's it. You're sitting in an Olono right now. Kay wouldn't let it drop. She was pointing at the ground after a future telling, yelling, Olono, Olono. What did she mean? Who was? My Ceratila. She was probably out of her head with the future telling. It happens a lot. So you have no stories, no lore regarding machines? He asked, frustrated. Clera responded. Only that we like them and usually can't afford the more interesting ones you elders make. Listen, future tellings can get a little muddled. She probably saw some sort of interesting machine standing there in the future and was all spun up about it. You'll have to ask her. I have, and she won't answer. Well, there you go. Next question. Wait, Kay said. This Olono is important. Can you perhaps tell my future and determine if you see a machine there at some point? Clera thought about it a moment. He put his cup down, leaned forward, and sniffed Kay. He sat back. I'm going to be honest with you, Elder, because I think I like you. Well, if you like me, then quit calling me Elder. My name is Lord Kabor. Just Kay, if you wish. Alright, a future reading on you, Kay, won't be safe. Why not? Mitz spoke up before Clera could stop her. Because you have the demon all over you. Kay sat there a moment, trying to process. Demon? What? What does that mean? Mitz made to say something, and Clera cut her off. Nothing. It's just an expression we use. The future isn't with you. I'd just be making it up. I do that. In business, that's what you have to do sometimes, because occasionally I look into the future and I see nothing. I don't want to rob you. You've earned a bit of honesty. But what is this demon bit? I don't understand. Mitz looked down at the table and Clera cleared his throat. As I said, just a figure of speech. Pay it no mind. They sat in silence for a minute or two, the babbling fountain breaking the peace. Kay didn't know if he believed Clera, but would probably get nothing more out of him with further questioning. He decided to move on and try to backtrack to the topic later. Alright, Kay said. What is head swarm? Clera laughed. Full of novel questions, aren't you, Kay? When you said you had questions, I thought you'd want to know where to grab a monoma woman to really make her squeal. Alright, what's head swarm? A choice. That's what head swarm is. It's a choice. I read it was a sickness. If you knew something unpleasant was going to happen, and you could either endure it, or place yourself into a peaceful state where you would suffer no anguish and feel no pain, wouldn't you choose the latter? Well, not if my duty demanded I stay and endure. Aha! Clera said, skeptical. You see that, Mitz? You talk like a Vith after all, sir. Talk is cheap. Sitting here safe and sound is one thing, but I promise, when that moment you've dreaded is upon you, you'll take the easy way out every time. That's head swarm. Mitz had a question. Your Saratila, has she spoken of this? Of head swarm? No, but I've seen her do odd things and act with considerable melancholy. I thought she was falling into head swarm. Mitz shook her head. No, if she was in head swarm, she wouldn't be doing anything other than sitting and staring. You could plunge a knife into her belly and she'd hardly flinch. How do you roust one who's in head swarm out of it? You don't, Clera said. You let them go and be at peace. They are at a dreaded moment. You best leave them to it. I won't let that happen to her, Kay said, resolute. Ah, and what could you possibly offer that head swarm cannot? Clera wanted to know. So, is that the whole of it? Kay said. You just give up when things look bad, do you? Is that a monoma thing? My Saratilia is strong and fast. If something terrible has come upon her, why doesn't she stand and fight? Some things cannot be fought, Mitz said. Some truths cannot be avoided, and some evils cannot be defeated. The invisible world is all around you, and it is not kind. Kay continued. Sam often says that you, as a people, were evil once, and that the gods are punishing you even today. Clera laughed. Yeah, that's right. We were predators long ago, savage and proud, and the gods won't let us forget it. They sat around the fountain in silence for a few minutes, both Clera and Mitz appearing quite sad. Clera was uninterested in talking any further. Oh, I think we're finished here, Kay. 5 silver pieces sounds fair to me. Kay stared at his cup. What is it that hovers over you? You said there are truths to the world that I'm not aware of. So what are they? I'm listening. What are you so afraid of? Clera stood up. I said we're done. The exit is that way. He pointed. I am here for my Saratila. I want to understand. Whatever it is, I want to face it with her. Ah, Clera said, you want to face it, whatever it is, do you? You, Vith, of all tribes on Cana, you always have your monsters to fight, don't you? Your battles to win. Have you ever considered, Vith, that we are the monsters, that we are the enemy? I'm no Anuian like your woman, but I could still kill you right now, and it would be so easy. What could you do to stop me? Kay stood. Were you to do that, you'd face my Karg. I'd be around it in a moment and at your throat. Perhaps and perhaps not. In any event, at least I'd face my death like a man. I wouldn't stick my head in the sand and wait for the end to come like a scared rabbit. He reached into his coat and pulled out his remaining money bag. Here's your money, 5 haters and more. Much more. He set it down and made to walk away. Thank you for not answering most of my questions. Wait, Mitz said. Please don't go. Let him go, Mitz. He needs to go and be away from here, and perhaps he'll return to his land in the killing chill of the north. Forget all about this, and us. It's for the best. But his Saratila. She should not have come out of the fog. She is doomed, and so is he. But she did, and here he is. Mitz scooted around the table and stopped Kay. Please, sir, come and sit. She seated Kay and pulled up a chair next to him, holding his hand. She looked at his face, taking in his features. She smiled. Oh, you elders are so beautiful. Such amazing colors. She reached out and touched his purple hair. I can imagine what your Saratila feels when you hold her in your arms and look at her with those eyes. She came out of the fog testing fate for you. That was probably the Anuian in her speaking. Tell me, when you say that word, Saratila, what emotions does it make you feel? Love, devotion, heartache, confusion, pain, sadness. She closed her eyes. You have chosen to give your heart to Amanama, and with that comes a great deal of peril. You must know that by now. Why? What peril? Why does she cry? Why does she look over her shoulder? What is it that I don't know? Clera responded. You can't answer those questions, Mitz, and you know it. You'll condemn him to death, and us into berserkicides. Mitz was defiant. We're doomed anyway. Whether we hide in the fog or not, they'll come for us sooner or later. She squeezed Kay's hand. I remember the elder boy I dreamt of when I was a girl, staring out from the battlements of my crumbling home. Somewhere in Zenon, I think he was, not too far away. I mean, I am devoted to my husband, but sometimes I wonder what might have happened had I come out and searched for him. Mitz, there are things he needs to know, Clera, and he will know. I do this not for just him, but for her, too, for that Manama girl who came out of the fog. Mitz turned to Kay. There are eyes on us all the time. We call them demons. I don't know what else to call them. And they take us, and they hurt us, and they make us do things we don't want to do. As my husband said, the gods are punishing us. When the demons come for us, they take us screaming from our beds, and we fall into Headswarm to make our suffering less. You asked how to defeat Headswarm. The only way to do it is to make the here and the now, the real world with all its troubles, more attractive than the serene space of her own mind. If you are her Erendan, then make her remember that, and she will return. Mitz continued. Now tell me, she has insisted you keep your relationship a secret, am I correct? Yes. And she's never told you why? Why the secrecy? No. Again, it's just one of the many secrets she has. Mitz leaned down and picked a white flower from a nearby plant stand. She held it up. It resembled a daisy with a black button in the center. Kay recognized it from the odd letter he'd received, only instead of being dried, this one was fresh and alive. This is Osnogara? You call it White Amelia. It's a symbolic flower to us, and we use them in our jars, just like the one your woman was no doubt born in. There might come a day when your Monomoy girl presents you with a necklace of white Amelia. If you take it, if you let her put it on your neck, you will be at trial, Mitz said. What does that mean? Something stirred from above. A door in the upper terrace slammed shut. Clera and Mitz looked at each other. They appeared terrified. We've said too much more than any Monomoy should, Clera admitted. Kay looked up at the terrace and saw nothing. What is it? I'm sorry, Mitz said, backing away. Show her the white Amelia and she will have to tell you. I'm sorry. She blinked away. Clera moved away from the table and pointed. The edge of the fog isn't far in that direction. Go. We've said too much. Go, keep your silver, just go, he said. Then he blinked away, leaving Kay alone at the table. Slowly, Kay stood and lifted his money bag into the air. Here, use this to repair your transport, to buy something nice for your wife. She deserves it. He set the money bag back on the table. Kay made to exit the transport. Thank you once again, and be well. I'll not forget the pair of you. He marked his bearings and plunged into the fog. After a bit of stumbling, he emerged into the sunlight. Some time later, Hath plunged down from the clouds in her rumbling ripcar and picked Kay up. The ripcar screamed into the heavens. Hath asked him a question. She had to shout over the rushing wind. Not really, Kay said, looking down at the flickering wall of fog. I didn't learn much of anything. 2 nights later, as Kay lay in bed, his thoughts were a carousel of motion and activity. He thought of Sam and machines and secret trials. He thought of Lord Lon of all people, his friend from childhood. Was the dumpy and unassuming Lon suddenly a rival for Sam's attention? A bitter bloom of jealousy and a general feeling of dread filled him up. With Sam not being around, not being able to confront her and know the truth, he felt even worse. Eventually, he drifted off to a shallow, unfulfilling sleep. Mitz's words banged around in his head. You will be at trial. He woke up sometime later, and there, wrapped around him, was a sleeping Sam, nude as usual. She had finally returned. He thought to wake her and confront her. Why do you keep looking over your shoulder? What are the trials? Who are these demons I've heard of? What are you so afraid of? Tell me, Saratila. Tell me. And he wanted to know about this lunch she'd been caught having with Lon and thoroughly interrogate her. But he decided to wait until morning. She seemed so peaceful, and he was just glad she was back. And with that, we conclude Part 2, Chapter 5, Lost in the Fog. A long chapter, as I mentioned. Kay ventures off into the fog. His sister Hathaline flew him down. Kay is not much of a pilot. I'm always careful about that with the characters I create, that they're not masters of everything. Like, some people are good pilots and some aren't, and Kay is a terrible pilot. His sister Hathaline, though, appears to have inherited their father's skill and is an amazing pilot. And there's another thing that's odd about Hathaline. If you haven't noticed, I don't let her speak. Kay is having a conversation with her, but we never hear what she says. We just hear Kay responding to what she said. And that happens throughout the book. And there's a very specific reason for that, why she has no voice. And we'll find out more about that later as the story progresses. Kay meets Clera and his wife Mitz in the fog, and he starts asking them questions for money. He'll pay them to answer some questions, and the questions he's asking they really don't want to answer. But eventually Mitz sort of warms up to him and tells him about these demons that are always watching them. She also tells him that if Sam were ever to offer him a wreath of white Amelia flowers, then he would be at trial. And that doesn't sound too good. That sounds kind of dangerous, and it is. And we will find out more about that in the next chapter, Chapter 6, and the Dead Held Hands. So the name of this first book is The Dead Held Hands, and next chapter we'll explore what that actually means and why it's important. So this was a long reading, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and until next week, this is Ren Presents. I am your host, Ren. Peace out.